What's going on, everyone? Bran here, and I'm about to give you the bloody breakdown on some rather depressing Scream 6 news. So, I'm sure everyone has already heard different rumors and things of that nature, and we are definitely going to talk about Neve Campbell in this video, but before we get into this, at least in my estimation, kind of depressing news as it relates to the franchise and specifically to Scream 6, I did want to venture first into a little bit more positive news, as Jenna Ortega was recently interviewed by Entertainment Tonight, and she had some interesting things to say as it relates to specifically Ghostface and the violence within Scream 6. So she says Ghostface gets a lot more intimidating, revealing that she had read the script for Scream 6, obviously, who, by the way, it is once again written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. She goes on to say it just gets more and more gory. I think that this is probably the most aggressive and violent version of Ghostface we've ever seen, which I think will really be fun to shoot. So when I saw this kind of stood out to me because, in my estimation, other than maybe Olivia's death in Scream 4, I think the Ghostfaces in Scream 5 were some of the most brutal, some of the most violent kills I think we've seen. Just basically due to the tenacity and just the haphazard stabbing of, say, for example, Judy, Chad. You go back and you watch those scenes, and I don't think you've ever seen a Ghostface, especially so regularly throughout the film, just go ham on these victims, for lack of a better term. I mean, just stabbing anywhere and everywhere they could get their knife to. So I'm very interested to see a more violent, more intimidating, more aggressive Ghostface. I think it could potentially bleed over to what their motive or motives could be. This could be something deep-rooted, very personal. Who knows? But I'm very interested to see, because you have a lot of people say, I want more than just the knife kills, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that leaves room for something like that to be inserted into Scream 6. Not just, an aggressive knife-wielding Ghostface, but an aggressive, intimidating Ghostface that could kill you with whatever he or she has nearby. So I'm interested to see how that kind of unfolds, because that's something that Jenna really wanted to get across. I assume when you work on these Scream movies, there's like a few, maybe you gather some things in your mind while reading the script, like, okay, maybe I can release this type of information, or, maybe this is a little tidbit I can actually get away with saying without ending up in a metric fuck ton of trouble, because these movies are always so closely guarded, and this one has been thus far as well, even to the point, and this is how we'll transition, this movie's been so closely held in secrecy, even to the point to where, as I'm making this video, yesterday was supposed to be the first day of filming, and it has now been kicked back 3 days. Now, why could that be? It could be a myriad of things, but I'm sure it has, like I said earlier, to do something with this transition into this story. And that is, Neve Campbell has officially stated she will not be returning to Scream 6. Now, before we get into the whys and things of that nature, there seems to be like a splintered off, camps of Scream fans or slasher fans, horror fans, whatever you want to say. A lot of them are very upset about this, and I do get that. I get being upset about this particular character because, in slasher films, it's been so difficult to have one main cast returning over and over and over. And Scream is something really special. Neve Campbell's character, Sidney Prescott, and Dewey Riley, and Gale Weathers, these are very special characters because they've been able to do something that really almost no other horror franchise has ever been able to do, especially within the slasher subgenre, which is continue to bring back these characters portrayed by the same actors and actresses over decades. So I get people being upset about it. I also get the other camp that are kind of on the side of, well, Sidney's story has really been over since 3. The torch has really been passed in a much better and effective way than it was in Scream 4. now in Scream 5, so it's really not her story. The torch has been passed. We can kind of move on with some other stories here within the Scream universe. I get both of those. So, I'm not here to take a side in this at all. I kind of feel both sides of what you're saying. Being a fan of this franchise since the age of 9 when the original movie released. But let's get into what she exactly had to say here, because there were a lot of rumors going into this. And I was adamant against covering any of these rumors because they just felt like that. Rumors. But now that we actually have something in writing here, we actually have something official, let's go ahead and talk about it. So Neve Campbell says, sadly, I won't be making the next Scream film. As a woman, I have had to work extremely hard in my career to establish my value, especially when it comes to Scream. I felt the offer that was presented to me did not equate the value I have brought to the franchise. It's been a very difficult decision to move on. To all my Scream fans, I love you. You've always been so incredibly supportive to me. I'm forever grateful to you and to what this franchise has given me over the past 25 years. So there it is. Essentially, it looks like money. It looks like a money situation here. And, I don't know if Neve Campbell's role was larger, perhaps, than it was in Scream 5. Maybe if it was about the same, maybe a little less. I don't know what the plan was. I don't think any of us know what the plan was as far as Sidney Prescott's character in Scream 6. So I can't talk to that. I don't believe anyone can speak to that. What I can say is that I also don't know what the money was, what the offer was. I don't know if, by whatever standards it was a low ball or if it really wasn't and she felt like she needed more. Look, I don't know. So once again, I cannot and will not argue for either side here because I am completely in the dark on this. What I will say is if it was a low ball offer, that's bullshit. And to be perfectly honest with you, Paramount should be ashamed of themselves. If it wasn't, once again, I don't know. I don't know where to go with this as far as the money goes. I know that is the issue. If it were me, I'd pay the woman, quite frankly, because I like I said earlier, I'm not on either side of this, but I do have a fear that, a lot of what made Scream 5 so successful was the marketing leaning heavily on your legacy characters. And now with, Dewey dead, with, and, I know Gale's coming back, Courtney Cox, but really at this point, and I guess you can kind of include Hayden's character Kirby, I guess, as a legacy character. But she's not, no offense to that character. I know there are a lot of fans of her, and I'm really glad to see her back. She doesn't have that power, obviously, of Dewey, Gale, or Sidney. So at this point, the real big draw as far as a legacy character is Gale at this point. And, not to shit on Courtney Cox or anything, but just looking at this from a perspective of, what more than likely made Part 5 financially successful was those legacy characters. And at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, it's about money. It's about these movies making money. If Scream 6 doesn't make money, if it pulls a Scream 4 and gets its ass stomped by something like Rio, you're not going to see Scream 7. You're not going to see a potential future to the franchise. So as much as I get the whole, passing the torch, moving on, I also understand that in order for these things to be successful, especially right now, nostalgia is the ticket. So I just hope they're not making a mistake here. I keep thinking that perhaps paying her the amount of money she may want could potentially be a money-making endeavor for them. But once again, I don't know what was offered. I have no idea, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. What I will say is this. Scream, as of the 6th of June, was supposed to start filming, as I had mentioned earlier. It has been postponed, from what I understand. Now, this is take it with a grain of salt type stuff, because I'm not 100% sure about this, but coming from some pretty reliable sources, it looks as if this filming has been pushed back 3 days to the 9th. That being said, You could be looking at potential negotiations between Paramount and Neve Campbell, considering how much of a PR disaster this has actually turned out to be. And a lot of that is not Neve's fault. A lot of that, or I say most of that, is, this entire situation not being addressed for days after these huge rumors started flying. And we could be seeing a postponement in filming to perhaps negotiate with Neve after this backlash, or it's very possible we could be seeing this pause in filming to rewrite the script, to do some rewrites to eliminate Sidney Prescott from the script as an on-screen character. You may hear about her, things of that nature, but as far as being on screen, it looks like that's not happening. Now, I do have one more theory as to what could be going on here, but this was a theory that I kind of put forward before things were confirmed and Neve had actually said, hey, look, this is a money issue, basically. And that is, we're being Andrew Garfielded. We're being Tobey Maguired, folks. We're being No Way Homed. And that Neve would actually be in the film and it would be a big surprise. Now, is that the case? I don't think so. I think it's an interesting theory. I think, but at the end of the day, I definitely don't think that's the case now that Neve has come out and said, hey, look, they're not paying me what I feel I'm worth. That to me sounds not like something you would say if you were trying to pull the wool over the fans' eyes. That sounds like something that's going to incite some fans. And it did. It really did piss a lot of people off. And look, hey, I'm all for unionization. I'm all for people being paid their worth. I'm for people being paid a living wage first and foremost. But that's not really what we're talking about here. Neve Campbell's definitely gonna do all right for herself, with or without Scream. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're at a point now to where we may be looking forward in the future of this franchise without Neve Campbell. And at least for this film, that seems to be the case. Now, we could, you never know, this film could do well. We could get a Scream 7. This could be, a part of a new trilogy. And she could come back in the next one. That's something that, not off the table from what I understand right now. It all just really depends on what happens with Scream 6. And once again, this movie hasn't filmed a single scene yet. So anything can happen in between now and the end of filming. Anything can happen between now and, post-production and Scream 7, if there is one, if it's financially successful. Who knows? At the end of the day, I will say this. As a fan of the franchise since its birth in 1996, I've been a huge fan of Neve Campbell's work because of Scream. Even following it into other films and television, I've become a huge fan of the character of Sidney Prescott. And it is going to suck, in my opinion, going forward if Sidney is not present in some shape, way, form, or fashion. Does that mean the movies are going to suck? No. It's just going to suck not having what I honestly consider, other than Laurie Strode, the prototypical best example of a final girl. And I'll be honest with you, maybe even more so than Laurie at this point in time. So yeah, I guess that's gonna be about it. I'm gonna stop blabbing about this. It sucks, but maybe it is time to pass that proverbial torch. And maybe it's time to see what Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera have, and let's see. Look, here's the thing. I want to say this before I depart. Let's not, as a fandom, throw this franchise out. Let's see where things go. Let's see how things develop. Let's not jump the gun here. And yeah, stick with me. We're going to be covering Scream 6 all the way through, just as we did with Scream 5. So with that said, leave your comments down below. What do you all think about this? It's a very contentious issue. So leave your thoughts, your comments down below in the comments section. Check the description, a couple of links there to follow me on Twitter or support this channel and what it is I do here. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already on your way out, and yeah, I guess that's going to be about it. So, I'm Bran, and you've just got the bloody breakdown on Scream 6.